Okay, so let me backtrack. So yeah, so those guys, right? They just fought for fun. So they
Yeah.
had these tried and true, tested. They knew it worked. They knew that this stuff was legit. Right. So I moved to California. I was just about to turn 18. I was 17, and I got my driver's license. So I had freedom and independence, and I trained super hard. I basically lived with Sifu, not officially, but I just spent all my time there. So we'd wake up and he'd start training me, and then he'd make me breakfast while I trained, and then we'd walk to the school and I'd train all day, and then we'd do classes, and then I'd walk to the beach and train more, and then go home.
Now, did your family move out there, or was that more of a you moving out on your own?
Just me. Yeah, my family.
Almost like the Karate Kid kind of thing on the opposite.
In a sense, I'm the only one from my family that ever really went too far from the Midwest.
Okay.
And I fell in love with California. I loved it there. And I stayed for about 8 months, and then some extra life happened, and I wound up like my bank account got hacked, and I had no money, and I had to go home to mom.
Oh, wow.
And so I go back to Chicago, and the plan was to move back to Ventura as soon as I could. And in the process, I may have had an interaction with an undercover cop where I had like a couple grams of weed in my pocket. And back in those days, that was super frowned upon, right?
That was a big no-no. Yep.
So they were cool. They were relatively cool, I guess. And all I got was probation. But what that meant was that I couldn't go back to California for a minute. And in that time frame, I met these dudes in this band called Dominion, and my desire to be in a rock band again kind of got lit for a second time, because at that point I'd been in a couple bands, and I was been doing shows for years, and then my first real band broke up, and I was like, music sucks, I'm not going to do it anymore, I'm going to go be Kung Fu Lo, right? Kung Fu Man, and that was the plan. And life has a way of kind of, putting you on whatever course you were supposed to be on. And it doesn't mean that I wasn't able to also be a Kung Fu Man, but like back in those days, I was going to be the lineage holder. That was the plan, was that I would live with him, and then eventually I would take over.
Mm-hmm.
And now his adopted son is in that role. So, right, everything works out the way it needs to.
Yep.
But yeah, so I was stuck in Chicago. But on the positive, I got to spend more time with Eric and learn his particular way, right? Like I said earlier, he was not a linear, like structured, organized kind of dude. Super intelligent, like real good at business, real good at organization in that sense, but not like he didn't have the system memorized, and he couldn't, like, you know what I mean? But he could explain to you conceptually, and that was really beneficial to me, because what I got from him was kind of this more intuitive way to approach Kung Fu. And then when I moved back to California a couple of years later, and ever since then, what Sifu Manuel has given me is the academic approach as well as the practical application. But like I said earlier, Manuel's like, he's a genius with this stuff. He's like just naturally gifted, and really a phenomenal teacher and coach. And we are still so close, right? So it was really easy for us to communicate, still is. And it's my other love besides music, right? I love doing music. It's not work. It's my passion, and Kung Fu is the other one. Those are the two things. I had one of my music students ask me a couple of days ago, he's like, so what do you do, for fun? I was like, music and Kung Fu. Like, that's it. And Kung Fu is like, it means hard work over time, right? It's literally the translation. So all of the things I do for fun are technically work or whatever. So that kind of brings you up, and then fast forward 20 years now, and here we are. And I just got to go visit and see him and touch hands with all of my brothers out there, which had been a couple of years, and that was refreshing. It was super nice to
when it came to all that over a period of time, I mean, how much actual time do you think you actually have in some form of martial art, no matter if it's Aikido or Kung Fu or
26 years.
26 years. Okay. That's quite a bit of time. I mean, that's nothing to shake your head at.
Yeah. There's definitely periods in my life where I trained less, especially in the beginning of Gemini Syndrome when we were on the road like 8 months, 10 months out of the year. But even there, sometimes I would manage to be able to put in, some effort on the road when possible. But the thing about the Chinese arts is that they really envelop your whole being in a sense, right? Not to be cliche or something, but it really is, it becomes a way of life, and it becomes a philosophy and a lens through which to view the world. And so in that regard, I've been training constantly for 26 years. Because that end of it fascinates me. And there's also a thing in the traditional Chinese arts, in order to really be considered a real master, you have to master the 5 excellencies. Hopefully I get these right. So one is martial arts, one is the sciences, particularly arithmetic, Chinese medicine, calligraphy, and music. You have to play a stringed instrument if you learn Chinese medicine, because you have to develop the sensitivity in the fingertips to be able to like read pulses and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So even in that, right, music and kung fu to me are like just different expressions of the same concept at the end of the day. Systematically learning those 2 art forms, I find almost identical. And I'm always making references to my music students about kung fu. Lucky for me, a handful of my students are also martial artists. So like that translates really well. It makes the communication really easy. And I've taught over the years, I've taught a few people here, a few people there, nothing ever official, right? I am allowed to teach, but I don't have the title of Sifu or anything.
No, and that's interesting, but the thing is this too, is just like you sit there and say, yes, it's a kind of a cliche that, martial arts becomes a way of life, but I guess it's also what you want to take from it, correct? I mean, if you just want to learn to kick butt, then that's what you're going to learn, right. But
and that mentality is where we are today culturally, I think. Right? The traditional arts are still around and they're still being perpetuated, but the glory of modern sport fighting and all that kind of stuff is more glamorous and more appealing, I think, to a larger audience. And there's a saying in Kung Fu that says, "Can you eat bitter?" Because if you can, you should go home, because it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, I remember not that long ago I done a podcast with Jeff Speakman. Remember him from The Perfect Weapon and things?
So Jeff Speakman and my Sifu just met here in Vegas a couple months ago.
Really?
Then they signed this contract together to basically agree to promote each other through their different cultures. So we've been invited to his invitation only tournament next summer here in Vegas.
Cool.
So they're training for that right now. And I was there for this weekend. They do a Sunday class for everybody who's around the country on Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
This week was the end of the first phase, and it was 12 weeks, and it was the review day, right? I haven't been to a class at school in at least 3 years. And without going too much into detail, I had some health issues, man. I had to quit drinking. Yep. I had a heart attack. I had a near-death experience. It was messed up, right? So this is really the first time to go back and train with my family, like in a healthy place. And man, they're going for it. Let me tell you.
Did it 2-hour class?
I'm still sore today from Sunday. No joke.
So that's like when I got back into karate from doing Muay Thai and things like that. It's weird. You can kick and kick and kick in Muay Thai and all that stuff, and your legs hurt a different way. Go back to a traditional martial art where you're doing the stance and things like that. I was like, oh God, my legs are killing me.
There's this awesome meme of Pai Mei from Kill Bill 2. And it says, "Tired of doing horse stance? Looks like someone needs more horse stance."
Yeah.